Hey everyone, it's Wallsies here. This is a video that I've done before in the past, but I've been an absolute doofus and deleted it by accident off YouTube, and I'm basically going to redo it all again. So here it is. It's a video about my disability and how I game with my disability, mainly looking at the adaptations that I've made, because I've basically adapted them all myself. They're not all designed to work with people with disabilities, but I've basically gone ahead and changed them and used them um, to how I game basically and make it accessible for myself. Because if I was get to use adaptations specifically made for people with disabilities, it would cost me probably 5 times the amount that it's costing me to make what I have. So I'm going to go through the hardware that I use, the software that I use, and a few examples of me using this equipment and software and stuff in some gameplay, just so you can go ahead and make this at home yourself or try and do something similar. Like I say, I've done this for my needs, so your needs might be completely different if you do have a disability or if you're just interested in disability gaming and stuff like that. I know charities like Special Effects do great work making adaptable systems for people. I knew myself when I made my adaptations I could probably do it myself without the help of like special effects and stuff. So this is all my own work, all my own adaptations. I found some things off YouTube as well that might help. So yeah, it's just basically just me rabbiting on now, but hopefully it'll be a good example of how I game with my disability and how others game with their disability and adaptations and stuff like that. So I hope you enjoy the video. We're going to go through 3 stages, me talking about my hardware that I use, the software that I use, and then, if, like I said, a few examples of me doing this and what can be done. So yeah, let's get into it. So now I'm going to talk about my disability and the hardware that I use, mainly because they just go together a little bit. So I have a C6 spinal cord injury, which has left my hand function being a bit crap. My left hand, I've got a bit of movement in the fingers and stuff. My right hand, I've basically got no movement. This basically means that I can't really use a keyboard and mouse to the full capacity. Well, I can use a mouse just about, but the keyboard is useless basically. So like I just said, I use a normal mouse. I have ability to do left click, right click, scroll wheel, and a few of the additional buttons on there. So normal mouse I don't really have to worry about. To compensate for the keyboard and not be able to use that, I have basically a combination of 2 things. I use a joystick, which I've got some software, which we'll go into later, which can remap the movements in my joystick to keys on the keyboard. And then I have these 2 pedal buttons, which again, I push them down my elbow whilst playing games, and that then maps again to keys on the keyboard. I use a combination of these 3 bits of hardware, mainly for my inputs, but I also have another bit of software, which again we'll go on to later, which use my microphone and voice commands. So when I say certain phrases, it carries out certain actions. I'll put the links to all this stuff here. I think all the hardware came to at least under £100. I think these 2 pedals were about £17 each, and the joystick was about £25. So, and then the mouse, I think the mouse was just £40 nice. So overall, it's all under 100 quid. This will cost me. All the software is free, and I'm going to put it all into the links in the description at the bottom. We'll now go onto the software and stuff like that, and then we'll also give a demonstration, as I've already mentioned. So I'm now going to talk about the software that I use that works alongside the hardware in order for me to game. So there's 3 bits of main software that I use. First one is Voice Macro. Voice Macro works by listening to my microphone input and looking out for key phrases that I say. So one is reload, reload, and as you can see here, it's got a green input which has recognized me saying input or reload, sorry. So when it does this, it presses the R button, which in game is reload in most of the games that I play. So this works brilliantly. I mainly use it for in games with keys that I'm not pushing as often, like the reload button. So every time my ammo runs out, I basically say reload, and it will reload my gun for me. I have many other phrases, and it's really easy to set up. And like I said previously, all of this software is free. So it works really well, and basically took my gameplay not to a really good level, but another level, because it freed up the amount of keys I needed to press, and I didn't need to worry about other buttons. So that's voice macro. Again, links will be in the description to that. And to be fair, even if you've got full use of your hands and stuff like that, it's still a really good piece of software that you might want to use and utilize in game, or just run macros off, because it just listens really well to different phrases that we say. The next one is foot switch. Foot switch works basically only with the foot switches that I use, which are basically now used as elbow switches. Again, I can basically program. I've got them obviously down here, device 1 and device 2. And I just program it a bit like with voice macros. I program the key, so when I push down on a button, oh, I've changed it there. So now when I push down on it, we'll do it here. That'll be A key, and that does D key. So it's how they work, and they both work really well. And it basically came with the foot switches, or software that I had to download alongside the foot switches. So it's not really a specific one that you should download unless you've got these foot switches. But again, it wouldn't work without the software. So that's the second one. The third and the final one, which I really was, when I started off making my own setup, this was the one that I was looking for most. A friend recommended me voice macro, and the foot switch just came with a device. But Joy to Key was the one that I found. And it's what I use to basically recognize movements in the joystick and output that into key inputs. So if we go here with the Apex that I use here, the Apex profile, because you can select profiles based on the games and stuff. When I move it forward, it basically inputs the W key. When I pull my joystick backwards, the S key. To the right is P key, and to the left is space. So I use P and space. Space is obviously normally jump in most games, and P is scope. But again, this depends on the different games I'm going to play and stuff like that. So another key game that I'm playing at the moment is Valorant. Again, my keys don't always represent what yours might on the keyboard. Again, a lot of the time it's me sort of like organizing keys, because I can still use the keyboard whilst playing games. I just choose against it at times because it's slower than me. So I basically, a lot of the time when mapping my my joystick movements to key movements and stuff like that, I basically do it a lot of the time on keys I wouldn't use if I need to suddenly reach the keyboard. So that's why on Valorant I have my joystick set normally to your WASD movement. But as you can see here, J isn't normally left key and shift normally isn't right. But this is just what I've reprogrammed it to. So this software, they're all free. I'm going to put the links in the description, and they all work fantastic. I cannot fault them at all. Joy to Key, normally you have to register. I've still not registered yet, but if you have a disability, you can email them and they will give you a free registration. I've just not done it yet, and I keep forgetting to, but that's me, and it's typically me. So now we'll go into the bit where I show you all of this in use. We're going to go into some Valorant, not into any games, just into the practice arena, and I'll show you it all in function. So let's go. So I've just come into the Valorant arena kind of thing, practice arena, to show you basically my controls in action kind of thing. So in Valorant, I have my WASD, or your typical WASD, assigned to the left, right, and forward movements of the joystick. So again, move forward to go forward, backwards to go back, left to go, well, that's right, but right to go right, and left to go left. This is basically just the main ones I use normally. My mouse, again, I just use it to shoot, and here. I'm not the best shot, but I'm getting there kind of thing with Valorant. I am learning it. So when we run out of ammo, let me just use the magazine. Oh, it doesn't run out of ammo. Okay, that's annoying. Reload. Okay, normally when I run out of ammo, I would just reload and use the reload command to basically reload my gun. Instead, we'll demonstrate something else. So again, with all the abilities, I use Sage a lot recently. That's just a legend that I've got, or agent that I used to start with, that I'm learning with. I don't know why I choose her, but it's just one of these ones that I'm using at the moment. So all her abilities at the bottom, I activate with voice commands. So we'll start with the wall. I couldn't think of a word to say with C. So for the wall, I say wish. And as you can see here, it inputs the abilities of walls. So let me do that again. Wish. And there we go, perfect. The other ones I use is Queen. Queen. And it will throw a little orb thing. I use that for all of them. All the abilities I use my voice macros with. And it works really well in game. It saves up without having to move my hands to the keyboard and stuff like that. The other things I've not mentioned yet is my 2 elbow buttons. I use in Valorant. One I use to scope or to the alternate fire. So I just tap it with my elbow and it brings in the scope like that. It works perfectly. Never have any issues with it, and it basically just frees me up to have full movement, but also have the ability to scope in if needed. The other thing I use the bottom one for is the walk and run options. I have them all set on toggle because holding it would just be a pain for me. So just pushing it down toggles it on and off, and it works really well. Valorant is a game that I found has worked really perfectly with my adaptions. I've tried Apex and stuff in the past, and it's not as smooth, and I can feel sort of like a difference in my gameplay compared to others. And some gunfights where you'd expect me to win, I lose. But now a bit more with Valorant, it's a bit slower paced and works really well in my adaptions. I hope that all made sense. Again, all my links are going to be in the description to all the software that I have, all the hardware that I've got. If anybody's got any questions, I'm going to put my social media and stuff in the description as well. So if you've got any questions and you want to build something yourself, honestly, just drop me a message and I will help as much as I can. And again, any comments in the description, or not in the description, any comments in the comments, I will try and respond to, and we'll go from there. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. It's not my best video, but I wanted to get this out there quickly because I got a couple of people asking me how I game, and a couple of people with similar injuries to me asking how I do it. So I just wanted to get it out ASAP. Again, if you like the video, I appreciate all the likes and subscriptions. And if you want more content like this, let me know in the comments and we'll do more. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.